Okay, here we are for Mounce's Basics of Biblical Greek, Fourth Edition, Exercise 8. So this corresponds to Chapter 8 in the textbook. And with homework prep, I want to look, as always, I want to look at the parsing, the warm-up, and the translation sections. And we're just going to do number 1 in each of those. Let's get started. So number 1 here, we see our inflected meaning. Hemera. Hemera. So remember, we have rough breathing over the eta. He. Me is our accented syllable. He me, and then ro with an alpha with a iota subscript. Hemera. So it's tatata. Hemera. Hemera. Now, if you have done your homework pretty well, you see that iota subscript, and you think that has to be dative. Right now, where we've learned Greek so far, the only place we see, I'm going to make that pen a little smaller here. The only place we see the iota subscript would be under an omega, an alpha, or an eta, like that. And it's always in the dative case. And so our case is dative. DAT is fine. Then number is, again, we have to go through that paradigm that we've learned. The number is either singular or plural. Here it's singular, because if you remember, the dative of the plural would be ace, like that. So the dative singular. The gender, hopefully you know, the alpha is feminine. Because remember, stems that end in an omicron or it's in an omicron are masculine, so they're going to be second declension, whereas stems that end in an alpha or an eta are feminine, and those are first declension. Oops, I'm drawing off the edge there. So hemera, dative, singular, feminine. Then remember we go, okay, so what's the lexical form? The lexical form is the form that we see when we look it up in the dictionary. And it looks very close to this, hemera. Now there's no iota, remember the iota subscript that we see in our inflected is not there. Hemera. Hemera. And so they sound a lot alike. Hemera, hemera, the lexical and the inflected here. What does it mean? What's the meaning of our inflected form? Well, if you remember, the dative is 2 or 4. So I would say 2 a day. Remember, hemera means day. You don't have to write that on there, but you do need to remember it. 2 a day, or you could say 4 a day. 2 a day or 4 a day. There you go. So hemera, dative, singular, feminine. The lexical form is hemera, meaning day. 2 a day, 4 a day. If you the full lexical entry would be, it would be hemera like this. Oops. Hey, did I get that right? Oh, I did. Hemera. Then it would say hemeras, like that. And then the definite article would be feminine. That's what, with the rough breathing, he. That's what we would see in our dictionary. But I'm just asking for the initial, when we look up the lexical form, just that initial entry, not the genitive or the definite article. But you do need to recognize the definite article, or the gender at least, don't you? Okay, let's go to warm-up number alpha. We have en to evangelio. En to evangelio. So en plus a prepositional phrase, right? Well, this is a prepositional phrase. En plus a dative. So again, just like with hemera up above, we have omega with the iota subscript. So this is a definite article, and this is the noun that goes with it. And if you remember en, it's easy. It just means in. In the something. In the something. N takes the dative. Well, if we've done our work, we know that the omega with the iota subscript is the dative ending. So we can think back, say, well, what was the lexical form of this? Well, it's going to start, alpha first, double gamma. Remember, we get the nasalization on the first one. Evangelion. Evangelion. And the full form would be u for our genitive, evangeliu, and then we're going to have ta, because it's a neuter. And this is that word, good news, good message, gospel. But what we see here in our warm-up is the dative singular. So there's agreement between the definite article, to, and the noun that it goes with. So translation would be something like, in the good news. Or you could say, in the gospel, if you want. Now remember, in the warm-up, they're often not complete sentences. They're often just little phrases for practice. So there you go. And last but not least, for our Chapter 8 homework warm-up, we want to do number 1 in the translation. Zoom in here. This is from Mounce's Basics of Biblical Greek, 4th edition workbook. Okay. Remember Mounce, because we haven't done verbs yet, he gives us the gloss. So erchetai encodes it could be any of the 3 genders. It could be he, she, or it. We learn about the subject somewhere else in the sentence. Erchetai, it's what we call a present tense verb or continual aspect. So he, she, it is coming, it comes, and then we have a prepositional phrase. So we already know what the verb means. We just need to zero in on this. So ace, well, here's another preposition. Chapter 8's prepositions. Ace plus we have to look at this word. What ends in a new? And what we'll find out, it's going to be accusative. The Omicron new ending is masculine or no, it's masculine. Yeah, masculine. And it is accusative. Because if we've done our homework, we know that the lexical form is oikos. Oikos. And what is oikos? House. Oikos is house. Remember, this is our nominative form. It's our lexical form. Oikos. So, eis oikon. Eis oikon means to a house. To a house. So, the basic meaning of erchetai, eis oikon, is he, she, or it comes to the house. You could say to the house, although technically there's no definite article. And if you want your English just to really track tightly on that point, you could say he, she, it doesn't matter. We're not told. He or she comes to a house. There you go. It's a complete Greek sentence. Erchetai eis oikon. We wouldn't say erchetai eis oikos, because the eis, this preposition, requires a certain case ending for the noun that's coming after that. That's what this chapter 8's about, is introducing us to these prepositional phrases. Prepositions such as en, like we saw with the previous warm-up, eis, and learning which case endings go with the different prepositions so that we know how those prepositional phrases then can be accurately rendered into our target language, in this case, which is English. All right, I hope this is helpful. Shalom.